Hello, this is Taha.
This is Anaina,
This is Movie Masala.
and we're here to yap at you about films we watched recently.
And today we're doing
Driver's Ed?
And I Love Boosters.
Okay, so I think we've both watched comedies this time, which is really interesting because this rarely happens. But we independently go and watch like the same genre of film with different films.
Yeah, it also happened without any communication whatsoever because both of us were going to watch very different films this week and then ended up not doing that.
Yeah, I was going to watch the live action of Moana, which I just decided against.
And I was going to watch Evil Dead Bird.
Yeah.
Things came up, wasn't able to get there. So I was like, okay, I'll watch something at home. And I decided to watch I Love Boosters, which was already on my list for a while. Like, I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, and I'd already seen like the trailer and a bunch of like clips from Driver's Ed, but I hadn't gotten to watching it. So I think this is like very interesting.
This is like a midsummer, let's take a step and like, let's go through something we've missed and then come back to what's going on next week.
Exactly. So I'm going to start with Driver's Ed. It's directed by Bob Farrelly and written by Thomas Moffat.
I can feel it. Give me a bump. Ow! What about you, Slim?
Oh, my girlfriend, she used to drive me everywhere. She already has her license.
Used to. She cut you loose, huh?
Oh, no. She's at college. We're making it work.
Yeah.
Bob Farrelly has done kind of like a bunch of other comedy stuff like Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary. And so quite established in the teen comedy kind of genre.
Also directed Osmosis Jones, which is like such a underrated film in my opinion. Like I feel there's so many people my age who have incredible memories of that film, but just doesn't come up in like pop culture really.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, which is why I didn't mention it. But okay, so yeah, that's interesting to know. And this is kind of a take on like a Gen Z teen comedy. Basically, the premise is very simple. Jeremy, who's played by Sam Nivola, is doing a long distance relationship with his girlfriend, Samantha, who's played by Laila Pate. And basically, she's off at college at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill while Jeremy's still in high school. And basically, he gets really insecure about the relationship. And one fine day decides to, you know what, fuck it. And just steals his driver's ed car from school and drive to Chapel Hill to see Samantha.
A very reasonable decision.
Exactly. And in the car with him, also in this driver's ed lesson, are Evie, played by Sophie Telegadis, Aparna, played by Mohana Krishnan, and Yoshi, played by Aiden LePrat. And basically, then this becomes kind of like a semi-chase, semi-action, semi-kind of heist, semi-comedy film. It's not semi any of these, it's all of these put together. Let's put it that way.
It's more like those are not like genre conventions that the film's standing by. It's more of those are all tropes it's stealing from.
Exactly.
I feel.
Exactly, yeah. Not stealing. I wouldn't say stealing. In the theme of the film, we didn't steal the car, we borrowed it. They didn't steal the tropes, they borrowed them.
They borrowed the trope. I feel in the same way like how so many blockbusters or like modern action films are pseudo comedies in the way they do have a lot of jokes in them, but they're not really comedy films by nature. They just borrow from comedy.
Exactly. This is the other way. This is not an action film. It's a comedy film, but it kind of borrows from these kind of like, there's a chase scene. There's like guns involved at one point. You know.
It's America. Of course they are.
Exactly. It's the Midwest in America. So of course even more. But yeah, so it's quite a fun, light film. I think the actors do a fantastic job with the kind of like comedic roles they're given. The comedic timing is perfect in a lot of the scenes, and kind of Sam Nivola as Jeremy kind of plays this pathetic guy so well, a little too well.
I feel you've really been on a journey of like watching pathetic guys in rom-coms this year.
Yes. This pathetic guy though, I'm a little more forgiving towards because he is in high school. He is 18, but he is in high school, right? The other ones are like university and like grown ones. We're a little less forgiving with the patheticness.
Okay.
But in general, the pathetic madness of it is quite interesting. And once again, I'm now noticing the trend of like men doing morally questionable things for love.
They just can't help themselves, I feel.
I agree. But yeah, so Sam Navola plays the characters really well. Sophie Telegatis plays Evie also really well as this kind of like side character who's like secretly, well, spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler, in love with Jeremy. Not in love, but she finds him cute and she finds him adorable, but she's also got her own stuff going on. And then Yoshi and Aparna have their own stuff going on as well. So the film does a really good job of like treating these characters within their own right and then together as this kind of like unlikely group of friends as well, because they've known each other since they were kids, and they as they grow up, they're basically in their last year of high school now, and so they've kind of really changed as people and grown apart because of their various social circles, as is the case, we are told, with every American high school. But they find their way back to each other, they reconnect, yada yada. So the kind of dynamics, the character dynamics are written quite well. What I did not enjoy about the writing was we've talked about this in other films as well, the forced Gen Z-ness of it.
Is it very hello, how do you do, fellow kids kind of?
Yeah.
I'm mocking over here.
Yeah. And there were points where some of the dialogues that were very clearly meant to be like, haha, Gen Z, were genuinely like, okay, that's kind of funny. Like when the kids decide to decoy drop their phones, basically they realize that they're being tracked, and so they decide to like put their phone somewhere and drive off. But instead, Yoshi kind of throws them into a river. And Evie has a full breakdown about it, and she kind of goes like, I've never been without my phone ever. I feel naked. And I'm like, it's kind of funny.
It is kind of fun. Like, it's also not fully untrue. I can't lie. I know people,
Yeah, exactly. But then there's also like dialogues that I'm like, no kid would ever be caught dead saying that. Like when Yoshi, for example, is like climbing a tree to rescue a cat and he falls, and Jeremy's recording all of this because, by the way, Jeremy's like an aspiring filmmaker. He's like filming all of this on his camcorder. And then once Yoshi's fallen and the cat has fallen on him and they rescue the cat, basically, Jeremy goes up and says, yo, man, that was like such a cool shot. And I'm like, I'm saying it in a better way. I'm making a face right now. I'm saying it in a better way, but I like heard that and immediately like internally cringed because I was like, don't speak like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's like the way millennials do it. It's like that kind of, like, I think you're a bit behind.
Exactly. I think it's like they're trying to write the dialogues of these characters consistently, but there doesn't seem to be like any balance or any kind of consistency with the way these characters speak. So one of my main primary issues with the film is the dialogue. And then second of all, that it's kind of, it's cliched. It's fun, but it's cliched. It's like, what's going to happen in every step. You know that once this group gets to Chapel Hill and they see Samantha, she's going to be like really happy or whatever. She isn't, as is assumed, cheating on Jeremy. And it doesn't give the kind of, you should stick by your first love. You should do long distance. It kind of gives the anti-long distance message. It's like, guys, it's okay.
Fair enough. I'm also thinking, like, the long distance thing is not something anyone wants. So it's more of a thing of like, you either like come together and realize like we need to be closer or something like that, or switch all together, or you just realize, this works.
Exactly. If you're adults and you're doing long distance, you can be like, we need to live closer. If you're teenagers in university and you're doing long distance, you kind of come to the conclusion that this film comes to is like, I don't want to feel horrible all the time. I just want to feel nice. I just want to feel happy. And, that means we need to break up. So this film does come to quite a mature conclusion for the age that these kids are. Yeah. And then, throughout the journey of this trip, this road trip / heist that these kids have been taking together, Jeremy and Evie have also been getting closer and, reconnecting. And they kind of have this cute little crush on each other. So we don't end the film with them together, but with the possibility of them together, or this kind of like cute little like she's behind him on an electric scooter moment, which is equally pathetic but cute. So just generally cliched, but what's happening, but it not in a stupid, not in a dumb, not in an unenjoyable way.
Yeah, it can have those cliches while also just being a nice watch.
Yeah, but
That's just simple as that.
yeah, I think it's Aparna and Yoshi's character that kind of surprised me the most because Aparna, surprise, surprise, lesbian.
Ooh, fun.
And, we're at the moment where she's finally being like, fuck it, I'm going to just be with women. I don't care anymore. Because, she's like, I want to wait for
Yay.
college till I reinvent myself. No, whatever, this girl's hot. So she kind of spends the night with her.
Fair.
And then Yoshi is kind of like, he's introduced as this kind of like stoner, general drug taking guy who doesn't give a fuck about anything.
Mhm.
Oh, this is
Okay.
again one of the things that I didn't like, but I'll get to that in a bit. And he kind of has drugs on him all the time. He takes those drugs. He's the school's dealer. Everybody knows that, etc., etc. But we have this conversation between him and Aparna, where Aparna's like, you stop doing anything, you stop doing everything. And we find out that his mom died. And you're like, okay, so this is like a
Oh.
manifestation of grief, which is also really interesting to see.
It just complicates the characters
Exactly.
rather than just
So I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, which is like, I think these characters are like, as characters, they're written really, really well, but the way we're told about these things is really lacking because the way we find out all of these things is like literally a dialogue from Yoshi and Aparna's like conversation is like Aparna goes, when did you stop being smart? And Yoshi kind of goes, I didn't stop being smart. I just stopped giving a fuck. And it's like, well, you could have shown me that. It's a film.
Yeah.
I could have seen that. I didn't need to be told it to my face. So a lot of times we're told a lot of character details to the face, which is such a shame because those character details are actually interesting.
Yeah, it feels like the film does have all of those things done, but sometimes just does not do the legwork of like presenting it in the best way possible.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, and just as a shout, it has Kumail Nanjiani as Mr. Rivers, their driver's ed teacher, who's in like 2 arm casts the entire time, and it's just like the perfect comedic like addition. But also he functions as like the only serious adult in the film, where he's like actively encouraging these kids because he's like, I want to let them make stupid decisions. And it's kind of really sweet at the
Aw.
end where, where they come back. They are being chased by the police, but, they get let go by the police because, whatever, etc., etc. So all the adults around them are kind of like, they don't really give that much of a fuck, but Kumail Nanjiani really cares about them. And so when they return from this like trip, he kind of asks them like, so you did it? Was it worth it? And they say kind of, yeah. And he was like, okay, cool. I'll see you on Monday. I'm your new guidance counselor. And it's really sweet and really like genuine in that sense to see an adult who cares this much about kids kind of making their own decisions and living life, etc., which is so rare to see in teen comedy films where things are spiraling out of control for the kids. So I think Kumail Nanjiani was like a perfect addition to this as well. But overall, yeah, I think, like I've been saying this all the time, it was cliche, but it was cute and it was a fun watch. And if you want like a fun night with some popcorn and ice cream, go ahead. It's on Amazon now.
So like your film was like a nice, cute film. It might be a bit cliched, but like otherwise was an easy watch. I feel mine was very much in some ways the opposite, in the way that I was like, this is a very dense film, not in the sense of so much is happening, but kind of that as well, but more in a, I want to just watch someone else dissect this film for me because I'm pretty sure there are things I have not fully understood about here that can be explained to me further. So I love Boosters, written and directed by Boots Riley.
You guys seem out of breath. You must be coming from your break.
Yeah, our lunch is 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Grayson gets an hour.
That must be illegal.
Maybe. But who's gonna force him to hold it to the law? Nobody, that's right. We're trying to get together to get longer breaks and a third more of our money. We gotta force this. We gotta force it.
Who's we?
This is Boots Riley's follow-up to Sorry to Bother You. But he has done like the series I'm a Virgo in between that. I haven't watched I'm a Virgo, but I did watch Sorry to Bother You. I do think genuinely right now, and I know Boots Riley is like such a incredible director to watch because of how much he brings his politics into his film in such creatively loud ways.
I mean, love that.
Have you seen Sorry to Bother You?
No, I haven't.
That film also follows like this intersection between race and capitalism, where like Lakeith Stanfield's character is like pretending to be white to be a better telemarketer, and then it's like also bringing in these like Marxist ideas of work and everything.
Okay.
And this film kind of follows a very similar idea where you have these four main group of women, Kiki Palmer, Naomi Aki, Taylor Page, and Poppy Liu, who play Corvette, Sade, Mariah, and Jianhu, respectively. Jianhu comes a bit later into the picture, but like it's mainly them. And then you also have Demi Moore, who is like sort of the main antagonist of this film, right?
Oh, okay.
And then you also have smaller cameos from Lakeith Stanfield, Will Poulter, and Don Cheadle, who is genuinely unrecognizable. I saw Dan Cheadle at the start of the credits at the end, and I was like, which one was he again? And now I'm like, oh, you could still put that side to side and be like, those are two different people. Anyway.
Okay, I am also trying to look for him on the poster because I see everyone except for him, and I'm like, am I missing him?
No, he's not on the poster. I'll give you that. He plays this character called Dr. Jack, and the makeup is so well done, he becomes unrecognizable. Like, I don't think most people could tell that's Don Cheadle by looking at him.
Okay.
So they follow these four people who are boosters. Basically, they're stealing clothes and selling them off somewhere else. They do make an emphasis of their like combining clothes in their own unique creative ways. Like they're taking those clothes and adding their own ownership to it in some way. And the word ownership is important. It will come up. Don't worry. I'm testing you.
Okay.
And like they're combining clothes, and you see their creativity on display throughout the rest of the film as well, as their outfits keep like expanding and like becoming such elaborate creative endeavors themselves, right? And like just out of the bat, just this most incredible shout out to Shirley Kurata. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, who is the costume designer for this film, who was also the costume designer for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. She is just utterly brilliant. This film's like so vibrant and colorful and incredibly creative, and so much of that is the wonderful, wonderful costumes that are put together by her, because it just really highlights that these people are creative and are putting their creative spin on these things as they're stealing from them.
Again, just from like the poster and the trailer, I can already tell that like the vibrancy and the kind of costumes of these films play like a major role, almost like they're a character themselves.
They are. They're very much like, I wouldn't say maybe a character, but there's such incredible like character traits in all of their own right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I see that.
So this is basically a comedy heist movie that introduces more themes, where Demi Moore comes in and she plays this character called Chrissy Smith, who's like this lead fashion designer, which they're mainly stealing from. She's also the designer, which like Kiki Palmer is like the most like, I love Chrissy Smith. I love her work and I want to try and emulate that. But then has a conversation with her where she realizes, where after Corvette meets Chrissy Smith, Chrissy kind of just steals her outfit and like passes off as his own. And that just starts this chain reaction where they want to steal from her. And that introduces you to Isa Gonzalez's Violetta, who is basically this worker at a Metro Designer, which is the shop owned by Chrissy Smith, who's trying to unionize, who's like, this is shit pay. What are we doing? We're going to unionize. And this is where the unionization of the film comes in, which has become such a big theme. This becomes genuinely a film about unions from this point forward.
Love that. That sounds so interesting.
So she comes across throughout the film. This is where they also interact with Poppy Liu's Jian Yu, who gets this magic bag, which can just suck clothes in and just robs the store blind in like 30 seconds. And this is where the film starts becoming more sci-fi.
Oh wow. There's so much going on.
But it's like I said, so much going on. It's not dense as like, I don't get what's happening. It's just like, there's so many elements and all of them have a thematic purpose as well.
Yeah, definitely. The unionization has, unionization. And then you have like the magic sucking bag, which is like, it makes it easier to steal, but you're not really stealing from like, that's so fascinating.
Yeah. So basically the point of like, they basically have a teleporter device, and this becomes becomes a plot device in that way, where it can teleport things, it can deconstruct things, it can also is a situational accelerator, which means it can increase conflict. I've lost you.
No, you haven't lost me. This sounds extremely familiar to... Can you repeat like what the settings are?
The settings are teleporter, deconstruct, and situational accelerator.
That sounds like dialectical materialism, where your situation and your material kind of... Oh my god. Did I hit that on the mark?
I feel someone's been doing the readings outside of the class.
Okay, this is like what I base all of my research on. Dialectical material is what I do research on, so it's kind of really easy to pick up on it.
Yeah, this film directly mentions that, and it directly says dialectic materialism and uses that to explain how the device works very basically.
Oh, beautiful, wonderful. I'm so pleased with myself.
I think I need to also like be a bit more succinct because I've been talking for a while. I've not felt like I've explained most things still. So
Yeah.
anyways, this then tags more in. They want to keep like hurting Christy Smith, and the film kind of escalates from there. And there's so many other wonderful elements to the film. Like I mentioned, the color is just so gorgeous and eye-popping and everything. Again, so like incredible props to also not just costume design, but also like Christopher Glass, who does the production design, and like Elizabeth Ayala and Michael C. Biddle, who like do set decorations. I think all of that is so interesting and so creative. Like every actual person who has done anything with this film has like lent such a creative angle to it. And as the film goes on, it also like acknowledges this thing of Horvet's thinking of like loneliness and like this world that you live in this material capitalistic world where you have to engage in the capitalism even in order to fight it,
Right.
and how living in that world isolates you and makes you lonelier in that material sense as well. Versus like Sade, who's like, I need to pay my bills though.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, we can destroy all of these things or we can sell it and I can just like afford things, right? So I think it builds a brilliant conflict in that sense between these opposing forces in movements as well.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's really done really well. And like again with the dialectic materialism, this film is very Marxist in its understanding of things as well. And I think one of the most brilliant parts of that is like how when they deconstruct the clothes,
Mm-hmm.
it physically like deconstructs them in the way that it returns the labor that was put into them back into the bodies of the people who made them.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so like the cost of the labor, the human cost of the labor.
Cost of the labor goes back to the workers.
I love that so much.
That's so interesting. And this is where Populous is such an interesting character because she comes directly, she's teleported from China using the teleporter device, which she steals from like the company, where the workers are like being overworked, underpaid, and like are also getting adverse health conditions due to the way the clothes are being made. It just fully tackles like, I don't care that you're a luxury fashion designer, you're still using those same unethical ways of making fashion.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're high up on that capitalistic ladder, you are being exploited. And that's just the nature of the system.
Yeah. Now, there's also a critique on fast fashion and the kind of systems fast fashion sets up and the arguments that like, oh, if it's luxury, it cannot be fast fashion because the whole point of luxury is, to make slow individual pieces. But then you kind of go down to the core of it and it's like, well, not really, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's also such an interesting part of this film where it just doesn't let that go as well. I think Demi Moore is such a good cast for this film as well, after being like in The Substance and everything, where she does embody that like, I've made my fortunes and like you guys are the ones stealing.
Yeah.
Which is like very much so like at the end put into direct conversation where she goes like, you're stealing from me. And they're like, but you stole from us. But she goes like, yeah, but I put my own spin on it. They're like, so did we.
Yeah.
And it's also like when I say ownership, who gets to steal, who gets to influence, who gets to borrow versus who is stealing.
Right. Yeah.
And I think so many good plot points. I do think in the traditional Booth Riley way, I think he can just pack in a bit too much at times. Like it's an essay which is trying to do a bit too much. And you're like, this is a wonderful piece, but the word count you have is exceeding the bounds of this essay.
Yeah. I've, as someone who's personally received that comment multiple times, I see that.
Where like you have this additional like end thing where they're trying to steal these $100,000 suits, which turned out to be these skin suits, like general like skins that people are wearing to be these like right-wing lobbyists, influencers, and like people like that. So a person on the street that was being interviewed being like, no, I think unions are bad, or no, I think rich people deserve their money, was genuinely just a person in a skin suit. They were swapping in and out to influence media, influence people. Same thing for like pundits and like think tanks. They literally call themselves a think tank, the whole group of people wearing these suits and swapping between themselves. And I think it's a great like conspiracy theory, haha, but I'm still like, might be a bit extra too much sometimes, but I think that still fits into the film more.
That can be a film in itself.
It can be. I very much agree. I do think it's not like it doesn't fit in necessarily. I just feel like it's a twist that comes a bit at the end and like isn't done with as much, but it's still in the background. It does recontextualize the film once you watch it again. My second thing is Lakeith Stanfield's character, who doesn't have a name. He basically is revealed to be this demon who sucks people's souls through their genitals by going down on them.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is dealt with the same like importance as like a weird boyfriend that just keeps popping up and just is swatted away every time he comes up.
Okay. Sure.
Which, don't get me wrong, is very funny, but also it does feel a bit underwhelming. As if you had just gotten rid of this, I don't think it really detracts from the main message of the film as much.
Yeah.
Like, not that it doesn't add to it. This idea of like toxic dating behaviors and things like that is other things, like getting these women of color down. But I don't think it substantially is this biggest narrative chunk that is adding to the film.
Right. It just feels like a world building device rather than a plot building device.
I don't think even if it becomes a world building, because it doesn't feel like he expands the world in any. He just adds another mythical
He's
or
just
like
part of
surrealist
it.
element to the film.
Exactly. He's just part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. So with the end of like, I feel this is very much this like leftist, cartoonist, surrealist version of a heist comedy. And when I say Looney Tunes cartoonist way, I genuinely mean like there's a scene where like, because Christy Smith's whole office is like tilted at like a 30-degree angle, there's a whole scene where Keke Palmer is trying to run and is doing the Looney Tunes running legs thing, where your legs are just going very fast, but your body stays incredibly still. And there's a lot of elements with like that. There's also like stop motion elements in this film where the skin suits people when they're just without their skin, they're fully in stop motion. And some of the heist scenes are like kind of stop motion-y. And there's just so many like creative elements throughout the film that Booth Riley is very much happy to like give you a mixed media film in that way.
Honestly, that sounds so much more interesting, like visually as well.
It is so visually interesting. That's like 100% true about this film, right? And one other thing also I really need to mention, which is the score for this film by Meryl Garbus and Nate Brenner. The score is just so bouncy and like as colorful as in a way the film is.
Okay. So the sound matches the visual.
Yes, and again, it just keeps coming out dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And it just has that like weird cartoonish fun like romp to it and like energy to it, and it really is a very prominent part of the film that really is like this background almost glue to the film.
Yeah.
And so I remember when we watched The Running Man and talked about this being Baby's first introduction to leftists or like revolutionary part. This is much more like Booth Riley giving you at least like a good sixth form like high school essay, as much as you can do within the bounds of like it being a film of this nature.
This is like a A-level politics or like a first year university politics essay.
Exactly. Where like it is so chock full of creativity, chock full of all of these incredible things, and just really good leftist unionization, organizing, all of those things. I haven't gotten to like how the film ends, but I don't think that's important, as like it does have this strong union message. And also I do love Booth Riley just having been like, no, I'm just going to fully spell this out for you, just in case you don't get it. Everything's going to be like really spelled out. He did that in Sorry to Bother You as well. And like, I think he is very much also like using these bigger studios. This is distributed by Neon.
Yeah, it's distributed by Neon, Focus Features, and Universal. Universal is its international distributor.
Yeah, but I think it's also like talking about like how he is using these capitalistic means to Trojan horse a very anti-capitalist leftist. Like, you cannot watch this film and be like, it's a capitalistic film. It's not taking every shot it can. Like, it's not really like pulling punches in any meaningful way. It is really just going for everything it wants to. You can clearly see, this is a very Marxist film to watch.
There is no room for different interpretation.
Yeah, you can have maybe interpret like how the execution, but you can't be like, this is not a leftist Marxist film.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just impossible to do. This is what I love about Booth Riley the most, about this intersection of like race and like these communist Marxist ideas, which I think it's like he doesn't be like, no, you can only do one. You can do just absolutely all of it together, because that is what leftist politics entails, like this intersection between all of these common ideas and how all of them are necessary to pull us out. I think that is just really makes this film such a great one.
I mean, honestly, it sounds so fun. I think I'm going to watch it tonight.
Absolutely. So those were our thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. This podcast is produced solely by us, with musical assets from Pixabay. If you enjoyed this, please do share it. See you again next time.
Bye-bye.